This is my country, land of my birth. This is my country, grandest on earth. I pledge thee my allegiance, America the bold. For this is my country, to have and to hold. This is my country, land of my choice. This is my country, hear my proud voice. I pledge thee my allegiance, America the bold. For this is my country, to have and to hold.
Over the last 100 years, men and women of the American Legion have been making big differences in their communities, states, the nation, and around the world. They began with a vision to strengthen the nation by standing strong for veterans, the military, children, and Americanism. Thousands of programs and services have come to life thanks to that vision. From support for the Boy Scouts of America to advocacy in Washington for a strong defense and a healthcare system for veterans. The journey now continues, thanks to momentum set in motion 100 years ago.
I pledge thee my allegiance, America the bold. For this is my country, to have and to hold.
Wow. Wow. Oh, come back. Oh, man.
You okay?
I'm all right. You're such a speed demon.
Well, I really wanted to get here. Oh, it's right this way.
Did you make the right turn?
I think maybe we should have taken that left in Albuquerque.
Maybe.
Oh,
What?
wait. I think this is the place.
Yep. This is where it says we should be. The 101st American Legion National Convention. First national convention of our 2nd century.
Wow, look at all our fellow Legionnaires.
I've never seen so many Legion caps assembled in one room.
You two look a little bit lost. Can I help you find something?
I guess we should tell them who we are.
My name is Lorna Dine. I'm a veteran of the U.S. Air Force and a proud member of American Legion Post 43 in California.
And I'm Jarek Wilhelmsen. I served 4 years in the United States Army and also joined Post 43 in California.
Well, it's nice to meet both of you. Welcome.
Well, we've been on a journey over the last year to better understand not what the Legion does and who we are, but why we do it, where it all came from, and how we can continue strengthening America in our 2nd century.
I think we know where we are.
We're just trying to find out why we're here and where we're going over our next century.
I can help. I've been a member of the American Legion for 45 years. Air Force veteran myself. Joined when I came back home from Nam. Now, I have to tell you, these folks, these are fellow Legionnaires. And they are devout and determined to uphold all the American Legion mission.
So you must know quite a bit about the legacy we need to move forward, but what about the vision?
Yes, indeed. Takes a lot for 100 years of dedication. You know something? Let me go back and take you guys to hear more about the American Legion.
Great!
Onward with Isaac gleaming, onward with Isaac gleaming, and free as banners streaming, forward march our country's legion, bright star our nation streaming, they'll keep the glory waving on land and sea, and preserve democracy. Sons of glory, sons of glory, hail our heroes, hail! Staunch and steady, always ready for our cause.
Wait
Whoa.
a minute.
What
What's
is
going
What's
on?
happening?
What's happening? What?
Hey, you didn't tell us about this.
This is a little odd.
What is that?
Careful. What?
All those gadgets and gizmos.
Some sort of a vortex? A time
This is a time machine? What?
It's shaking.
Oh no, look out. Be careful, be careful.
What's coming out of that?
I'm heading for the hills, you guys.
What the?
Oh, look out.
Whoa,
Here it
whoa,
comes. Is that who I think it is?
Theodore Roosevelt Jr.
In the flesh. Bully! Bully!
Sons of glory, hail, our heroes hail. Staunch and steady, always ready for our cause. The American Legion's call, hear the call, hear the call.
So, you want to know why we started the American Legion back in our day? I can tell you both that when we came home from the Great War, veterans just weren't treated very well. Sick and disabled, they were usually sent home with $60, a train ticket, and the uniforms on their back. We also realized that if America wanted peace, we needed to be stronger than we were in war. The future of our nation also depended on the wholesome development of youth and public appreciation of our national identity, a little something we defined as Americanism.
The 4 pillars of American Legion programs and services.
Constructed by a vision for a stronger America for future generations, including ours.
Now, in the beginning, did you have any idea how your vision would take shape?
Why, honestly, no, not really. At the Paris caucus in March of 1919, troops came from all over France, some with orders, some with wadded up paper they said were their orders. Mostly we were just trying to get ourselves organized, which wasn't very easy. Nobody knows really how many people came. We stopped keeping track. But one principle was made very clear from the beginning. Check your rank at the door. It didn't matter where you went to school or if you went at all. Black or white, rich or poor, male or female, we shared the common bond. The American Legion would forever hold that a veteran is a veteran.
You know, that makes a lot of sense. My post commander was an E4 when she got out of the Army.
We also have former officers at our post who pull volunteer duty at the VA Medical Center.
Well, we didn't have any money. We didn't have any members yet. There weren't any posts.
But there was a vision for a better and stronger America. One that would care for our veterans, support our troops, mentor young people, and honor the colors of our country.
Bully! You've got it! And out of that vision came the VA, U.S. Flag Code, American Legion Baseball, countless acts of disaster relief,
Boys State and Boys Nation,
the GI Bill of Rights, and the Veterans Preference Hiring Act.
Government recognition of combat PTSD and Agent Orange exposure.
The most visited national memorial to wartime service.
Millions of veterans assisted by American Legion service officers, and about 1 million more contributions to our communities, states, and our nation. Through the common bond of military service, no matter where or when you served, the American Legion we envisioned in 1919 has proven that almost anything is possible when veterans work together for the common good.
Hey!
Sons of glory, hail, our heroes hail. Staunch and steady, always ready for our cause. The American Legion's call, hear the call, hear the call.
Oh, there he goes.
Here it comes again.
Come There he goes.
There he goes.
Goodbye, goodbye.
Wow.
Wow. The American Legion was responsible for a lot more than I ever imagined. But what about today's American Legion, and what about tomorrow?
Well, Lorna, I'm happy to tell you that the American Legion is making differences every day to strengthen our nation. This past winter, when the federal government shut down and active duty U.S. Coast Guard members, parents with kids at home weren't getting paid, the American Legion raised funds and cash grants for these families and to make ends meet.
Did you know the American Legion's legislative team worked on more than 50 bills to help veterans and their families in the 115th Congress, and they're back at it in the 116th.
That's right. You know, last year alone, the American Legion poured over $3.2 million worth of labor hours into relief efforts after natural disasters. And that's not all. That's not all. The American Legion service officers right now are working on over 700,000 benefit hours for veterans and families, all free of charge.
The American Legion helped reboot the post-9/11 GI Bill and is working to extend those benefits to young veterans looking to start businesses.
We're just as active today, making positive changes to strengthen America as ever before. If tomorrow all the things were gone I worked for all my life, and I had to start again with all my children and my wife,
I'd thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away.
And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Hey, check this out. Don't take my word for it. I have another friend I'd like for you two to meet.
Oh,
Okay.
great, who?
Just wait.
Here we go again.
Oh, look out!
Here's my Gizmo Wizmo.
What is this?
What?
Oh! I know you. You're Denise Rowan, past national commander and first woman veteran elected to lead our organization.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Jarek, I think we met during the 2018 American Legion Legacy Ride on the way to the 100th convention in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I love that ride. It was a little soggy at times, though.
Yeah.
I love that ride because it brings the entire American Legion family together. The American Legion Auxiliary, the Sons of the American Legion, and then, of course, the American Legion Riders. You put us all together, and we're 3 million patriotic Americans who knows what it means to put service ahead of self. You know, all around the nation, the American Legion family is operating programs and activities that strengthen our nation, one community at a time. For example, you may think that American Legion Baseball is one of our nation's most successful amateur athletic programs. And you would be right about that. But American Legion Baseball is so much more than that. It educates young people about the importance of sportsmanship, fairness, teamwork, and fitness, all of which are important to great citizenship. into service. Now, many American Legion baseball player alumni have gone on to play Major League Baseball, but many more, thousands, have gone on to serve their community, their country, and the public in other ways that strengthen our nation. American Legion Boys State and Boys Nation, as well as the American Legion Auxiliaries Girls State and Girls Nation, have given young people a foundation about what it means to uphold your civic responsibilities in a system that's based on justice, freedom, and democracy. All words that you find in the preamble to our Constitution. From high school oratorical contests to junior air rifle competitions, the American Legion family is at work each and every day, making the country stronger, one young person at a time.
You know, I've been on a couple of legacy runs with the American Legion family, and it seems every year we continue to break the fundraising records to help more children of military men and women who lost their lives in service post 9/11, or whose parents became disabled while they were in the service.
Sometimes it takes the entire American Legion family, coast to coast and around the world, to make our nation stronger.
You know, indeed it does. Since the early 1920s, when Legionnaires were helping unemployed veterans find jobs in logging camps and in mines, to advanced American Legion workshops and training sessions and seminars today to help veteran entrepreneurs capitalize on their dreams. Our efforts have been driving economic progress for veterans and the rest of the nation across the country and actually around the world. And when disaster strikes and floods, tornadoes, and fires leave towns in ruins and families with nothing to eat, we are right there, and we have been since our very first year, helping communities rebuild and taking care of people who have been left stranded. The American Legion Operation Comfort Warrior, it tells our sick and wounded military personnel, our veterans, they let them know that we care about them as they are going through their recovery. And when the American Legion family takes its case to Capitol Hill, we make a difference, not only because of our numbers, but because we put policy above partisan politics. The purpose for which we associate together today are the results of a great and timeless vision. And that vision will never go out of style.
Wow. Thank you, Commander.
This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. This land was made for you and me.
Well, I can stand beside ideals I think are right, and I can stand beside the idea to stand and fight. I do believe there's a dream for everyone. This is our country.
There's room enough here for science to live, and there's room enough here for religion to forgive, and try to understand how the people of this land. This is our country. From the East Coast to the West Coast, down the Dixie Highway, back home. This is our country.
So how in the world are we supposed to know where the American Legion will be 100 years from now?
Poverty could be just another ugly thing, and bigotry would be seen only as obscene. and the ones who run this land help the poor and common man. This is our country. From the East Coast to the West Coast, down the Dixie Highway back home. This is our country. This is our country.
Hey, you two. Let's see if we can find the person that's going to lead us into the future.
Great! Who is it?
One more time. Oh, here we go again.
Here we go.
Wow, this is so cool.
Who's it gonna be?
Here we go, here we go.
Here we come. Is someone
Who
coming?
is it?
Is it? Oh.
Oh! National Commander Brett P. Reistad!
We are
Team 100!
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 We are Yeah.
So what does Team 100 mean?
Team 100 means we believe in the future of the American Legion. We're veterans who serve our fellow veterans. We serve our communities and our schools. We're patriotic Americans. And we may not do it quite the same way our founders did, but as long as America needs strength, respect for veterans, mentorship for young people, and ambassadors of American pride, the American Legion has a bright second century ahead.
Yeah. Well, what do you think?
I think we found what we came looking for.
We are veterans.
We're family.
We're community.
And the American Legion will continue strengthening our nation long into a second century.
We are family.
How you guys doing?
I got all my good friends with me.
Hey, see ya.
We
Hey,
are
howdy, guys. Good to see ya,
family.
man.
Get up, everybody, and sing.
Good to see you. Nice to
We
meet you.
are
Good to see ya.
I got all my good friends with me. We are family. Get up, everybody, and sing.
Everyone can see we're together as we walk home by.
And we flock just like birds of a feather.
Come on now.
I won't tell no lie.
All of the people around us, they say, can they be that close?
Just let me state for the record, we're giving love and a family goes.
We are family.
Hey,
I
everybody say,
Come on now.
we are family.
Oh, yeah.
I got all my good friends with me.
I got all my good friends with me, yeah.
Our family. Get up, everybody, and say, we are family. I got all my good friends with me. I got all my good friends. We are family. Get up, everybody, and say,
Good morning. Good morning, Legionnaires, American Legion family members, friends. That opening, if that opening didn't touch your heart, you need to go see your doctor and get a new one because that one's used up. I think we owe them another round of applause. There are so many great moments in American Legion history, we couldn't possibly touch on them all. But fortunately, we keep great records, and sometimes voices from our past are still able to speak with us. In May, we were in St. Louis, where we marked the 100th anniversary of that monumental caucus. During our celebration, we were able to read some of the contents of an American Legion time capsule from 50 years ago. But now, let's listen to past National Commander William C. Doyle of New Jersey.
May 10, 1969, to the National Commander, the American Legion, on our 100th anniversary. My dear Commander, the fact that this letter has been delivered to you gives evidence that the American Legion always has been correct in having faith in the future of America. On May 10, 1919, the founders of this great American Legion met here in St. Louis and demonstrated their faith in the future by dedicating our organization to continued service in peacetime to the country they had served in war. Here and now, as we observe the 50th anniversary of our founding, we have remained true to the principles set out by the founders. Through our national security program, we have championed the cause of peace and the preservation of freedom through preparedness. Through our rehabilitation program, we have made the American veteran the best cared for in the world. We have helped America's children over many of the pitfalls of childhood, pitfalls of both physical and social disorder, through our multifaceted Americanism and child welfare programs. We expect that these 4 basic programs are continuing in your day in some form and perhaps under some name more in keeping with the times, providing the American Legion still is functional. It would, of course, be our hope that as you read this message, our organization might no longer be functional, for this would mean that wars would have ceased long enough ago, and the numbers and vitality of membership would be on the decline. Even if this has happened, there should still be an American Legion of sorts, for vibrant young men are joining our ranks today as they become eligible upon honorable separation from service in the Vietnam era. We don't know what your world will be like, but we know it will be different from ours. Just last December, and over the period including Christmas Day of 1968, man first left the Earth's atmosphere and orbited the moon. These men were Americans. This summer, if all goes well, the first men will land on the moon. Those men, it is expected, will also be Americans. As we place this capsule, we are just beginning to probe the mystery of space. As you open it, we expect you will have gone far beyond. We wish you well, and we are confident that if in your era there is an American Legion of substance, and if there is a need for the type of service the American Legion was founded to provide, you will be providing it then, just as we are now. Sincerely, William C. Doyle, National Commander, 1968 to 1969.
August 27th, 2019. To the National Commander, the American Legion, on our 150th anniversary. Dear National Commander, in 1969, our predecessor, National Commander William C. Doyle, wrote a letter to me which I read 50 years later during our American Legion Centennial celebration. He wrote of our nation's excitement in anticipation of America's first manned mission to the moon. More recently, our country's Commander-in-Chief, President Donald J. Trump, has announced plans to create a military branch dedicated to operations in space. As of this writing, it has not achieved the national mandate or generated the excitement of the Apollo 11 mission, but I have no doubt that if the Space Force becomes a reality, your American Legion is leading the way as fierce advocates for the needs of the space veteran, just as we have been doing since the Doughboys returned from World War I. Like the rest of the society, times have changed a great deal regarding the day-to-day lives of America's veterans. The military generation of 2019 has grown up using the internet and smart technology. The jury is still out as to whether these unprecedented advances have truly benefited the human race, or whether the reliance on artificial intelligence has atrophied the human mind. Although today's veterans have skills and life experiences that differ greatly from previous generations, I can only imagine the talent and resourcefulness that the United States military of 2069 must offer. Speaking only with the knowledge of what occurred over the first 100 years of American Legion history, it has become obvious to us that the patriotism and willingness to sacrifice life and limb for country bonds all veterans regardless of what periods they served. I have a firm belief that this devotion to a greater cause has continued during the 50-year period from 2019 to 2069. At its heart, the American Legion has always been a community-based organization, despite our enormous influence in Washington. For our first 100 years, the American Legion has dedicated itself to our four founding pillars of care for veterans, a strong national defense, the well-being of children, and Americanism. We still recite the original preamble to our American Legion Constitution, changing only the word war to wars. It saddens us that the change needed to be made. In fact, it's our sincere hope that the American Legion of your day will be largely a legacy organization due to the rarity, or better yet, non-existence of war. The United States of 2019 faces many concerning challenges: economic insecurity, cyber warfare, illegal drug use, rampant violence, and rogue regimes are just some of the major issues that we're grappling with. But the American Legion is an effective organization because we're an optimistic and informed organization. It certainly would have been easy for Legionnaires to despair during our 25th anniversary about the horrific acts committed by Nazi Germany and Imperial Japan. When the American Legion turned 50, we were in the middle of an unpopular war, and our streets were filled with civil unrest. in 2001, as our national commander was in the United States Capitol preparing to testify before Congress, terrorists struck the Pentagon and the World Trade Center. These two were challenging times. Yet America always seems to persevere. As this letter is placed in a capsule for another half-century, I am optimistic that it will be delivered to you, the National Commander of the American Legion. I'm optimistic that the American Legion will still be our nation's greatest voice for veterans and will continue to sponsor the finest youth programs in the country. You will still be promoting the honorable nature of military service and professing the greatness of the United States. God bless you as you continue that special legacy. Sincerely, Brett P. Reistad, National Commander. Now let's hear from past National Adjutant William F. Houck of Indiana.
May 10th, 1969, the National Adjutant, the American Legion, during our centennial observance. To my successor of a half-century hence, as the American Legion observes a half-century of service to God and country as we do today, May 10th, 1969, we note with pride a number of substantial accomplishments by which we can honestly say we have fulfilled the reasons for being of the American Legion, as set out by our founders here in the city of St. Louis in 1919. Time and space will not permit elaboration, but we would point to a shining example known as the GI Bill of Rights, a piece of legislation which altered social and educational concepts particularly, and the role of government in the responsibility of care for the veteran generally. Hailed as monumental in its day, and, we would hope, with continuing lasting good results to this day for some of its beneficiaries still are with you, we are proud of that achievement and of many other actions which have helped to keep our beloved America strong and free up to this point in history. We are disturbed over some of the things that are happening on our college campuses. Our young people are upset over the war in Vietnam. Most of them are fine young people, but those who seemingly provide leadership seem to have lost their way as far as the principles of patriotism and love of country are concerned. Yet, as we look at history, we find this has been characteristic of many ages of man and hope that this too shall pass away. We hope the America you inherit from us will still be strong and free and a vibrant force in the affairs of men. If it is, we can truly say our job here was well done. We can only say that any accomplishment of the Legion was the result of all of us living with the final point of the preamble to the Constitution given to us by our founders of half a century ago, when each of us, coming into this organization, pledged ourselves to a life of mutual helpfulness. We know that if this letter is opened and read by the proper people, that men still are living by that code in 2019. Sincerely, William F. Houck, National Adjutant, 1969.
August 27, 2019, to the National Adjutant of the American Legion on our 150th anniversary. Dear National Adjutant, greetings from Post Everlasting. I say this not out of melancholy or poor health. In fact, I write this with as much energy and optimism about our prospects and future successes of our organization as I've ever had. In many ways, your American Legion of 2069 must be very different from the organization which I joined 90 years ago after I first walked through the doors as a brand new staff member of the national headquarters at 700 North Pennsylvania Street in Indianapolis. During those early years, I was an editor of the American Legion magazine, a position which fed my appetite for the remarkable history and accomplishments of the men and women who earned the title Legionnaire. And the hunger continued as I later served as publisher, executive director, and ultimately national adjutant of our great organization. A prominent Legionnaire and personal mentor to me would often speak of the ghost that he could hear in the endowment room. The endowment room was, and perhaps is still, located on the 3rd floor of our headquarters and was where we proudly displayed a handwritten copy of the original draft of the GI Bill of 1944. Authored by our very own past National Commander Harry Colemery and a number of other influential Legionnaires, the room's display also included the signing pen used by President Franklin D. Roosevelt and the legislative gavel by the Speaker of the House, Sam Rayburn. I like to think that the endowment room and GI Bill display are still intact at your American Legion headquarters. But if not, I am confident that it has been tastefully replaced with your own piece of American Legion history, safeguarded with the same reverence and respect that previous generations of Legionnaires have given to American artifacts dating back to the Great War. Another distinguished visitor to our endowment room was American Legion founder and longtime Congressman Hamilton Fish. He was responsible for legislation authorizing the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier at Arlington National Cemetery. His voice, last heard in the 20th century, continues to impact our nation in the 21st. Serving the American Legion through its 150th anniversary is a distinct honor. With advances in life expectancies and extensions of professional careers, there is a possibility that our paths may have crossed. If so, it would have been late in my Legion career, and you would have either been a very young Legionnaire or perhaps a participant in one of our many youth programs. During recent years, there's been much controversy about whether America is truly great and the role of patriotism during our current decade. Yet a 2018 Gallup survey revealed that 21% of potential migrants would choose the United States as their preferred home. This exceeded the combined total of the next 5 nations on the list. The American Legion has never believed that America is perfect, just that America is worth fighting for. Despite its flaws, the United States is still the envy of the world and the place where Lincoln promised that a government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from the earth. Even so, the living should not be governed by the dead. You have access to information and technology that we can only dream about. Customs change, and events dictate that we must adapt and change with them. The alternative is for our organization to die or lose relevance, and I refuse to believe that America's veterans would allow that to happen. If the organization dies, let it be because there are no more wars. Use Post-Everlasting as an inspiration, as the organization has been doing since the first Legionnaire arrived at Heaven's Gate. Altogether, there are millions of us who have gone to be with the Supreme Commander forever. Hear our voices. We all have confidence that you're not only continuing our legacy, but you're also creating an even greater legacy of your own. And may your legacy have given birth to a world of peace and freedom for all mankind everywhere, as was the prayer of our founders 150 years ago. For God and country, Daniel S. Wheeler, National Adjutant, the American Legion.
I have copies of those 4 letters. Commander Reistad, Adjutant Wheeler, Commander Doyle, Adjutant Houck. Those 4 letters are placed into this time capsule, along with Commander Reistad's challenge coin, to await the 150th National Commander and National Adjutant of the American Legion when they open this time capsule. Thank you.